Okay, so hopefully my audio levels are looking good. Okay, so as I record this, it is the day before Thanksgiving, 2025. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, as it would be. And, one thing that is crazy is that as I record this, it's the day before Thanksgiving in 2025. And let me, first of all, wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Hope you've had a great year so far. Here's what's going on. I have ridden this bike this year, the 2022 Yamaha Tenere 700. I have 21,687 miles on this bad boy, and that means that I've put about 5,400 miles on it this year. Did a great trip up to Alberta, Canada, and I don't think I did any additional modifications this year to it, so it's been kind of a tame year for mods, which is not really typical for me, but all in all, it's been really, really good as far as bikes go. One thing that I have thought about recently, so we did that, my buddies and I, we did this 1,800 mile trip to Jasper and Banff in Canada, and the bike performed solid for that. The plan was to do a section of the BDR, the Washington BDR, and then a friend of mine's KTM was having a whole bunch of issues. We never ended up being able to make it. So I just see myself, or I find myself, riding a lot less off-road and dirt than I thought would happen with this bike, and it's happening a little less each year, where I'm riding a little less dirt and a little less dirt and a little less dirt. Jeez, this freaking thing in my way. Let's see if I can tuck this bad boy somewhere. All right, hopefully that'll stay. Nope, still whipping around. But anyway, I find myself riding less and less dirt every single year. And the original intent with this bike was to ride a lot of dirt and have it be, 40% dirt, 60% highway, maybe a little bit different, maybe flip those, whatever. It is a comfortable enough bike on the highway, but certainly not a 10 out of 10. And I ride with a friend of mine, Todd, who has a Super Tenere. I ride with him a couple times a year. And sometimes we'll switch bikes, and whenever I switch, even if it's just for a few minutes, I'm always reminded how comfortable that bike is. And I made a video on this very channel about 4 years ago where I had a Super Tenere, and I was talking about other bikes that were available in the segment that I would consider. And I talked about an Africa Twin, and I talked about a T7, and I talked about a Transalp, I think. So quite a few different bikes. And yeah, I ended up selling that Super Tenere. I think I bought it for like $10,500 in 2019. Sold it for $10,200 to a guy. I think he was in South Dakota. He flew out here. He bought the bike. He loves the bike. I check in once a year. Still loves it. All that. Recently, in the last few weeks, I've just been checking ads to see, is there any used Super Ts that are out there, because Yamaha discontinued it, which really kind of blows. So this is the biggest adventure bike they sell now is the T7. So they don't have a 1200cc big bore bike anymore, because I've thought about maybe going back to a Super Tenere. So many of my miles are on these long pavement stretches, and I feel confident enough in my off-road riding to where I think a 1200cc bike would be fine, as heavy as it is, because that bike really was just like it was like a do-it-all type machine. Yes, big, yes, weighed a bajillion pounds, but little to no maintenance, especially with that shaft drive that it had. This thing is really bothering me. I don't know if it's coming up on video. I'm gonna try and tuck it again. I'm wearing my big, because it's only 40 degrees outside, 47 degrees outside. I'm using my big obtrusive winter gloves right now, and I'm anticipating we're gonna hit traffic here pretty soon. But anyway, been looking at Super Teneres. They stopped making it, I think, in 2023 or so. And I've saw some, there's a whole ton of them that are like pre-2014 that you can find. But I would really, my God, this stupid fucking, ugh. All right, we're gonna be serious about it this time. Okay, I think that'll stay. So yes, I think they stopped making it in 2023, but so reliable, fun enough, not super fast. With an ECU flash, it can be a little more fun. But bottom line is, you know, I could do 500-mile days or 700-mile days or 1,000-mile days, and I just have no soreness. I do have some soreness from this bike. A 500-mile day on this feels very long, very, very tough to do. Whereas on the Super, it could be done all day. I did the iron butt with relative ease. So 2 days ago in Portland, which is 180 miles from my house, so about 3 hours away, a very nice 2020 popped up with about 20,000 miles on it, and for $9,900. So I've been thinking about it. I don't think I can sustain two bikes, especially a 1200cc and a 700cc. Maybe a 1200cc and like a 300cc, but I don't really have the space or the desire, or even really the need. God, I hope traffic is not terrible the whole way. I don't really have the need for two bikes simultaneously. I just don't. I don't have a way to transport one easily, like a little dirt bike or anything like that. So I'm really contemplating getting this 2020 Super Tenere. And if I did it, I would have to do it on Black Friday, leave super early in the morning, drive down to Portland to pick it up. It looks like it's in phenomenal shape. Now, the only bummer is that since there's 20,000 miles, I think the valve check is going to be in 4,000 to 6,000 miles, so it would have to be done next year. And that's like $1,500 to $2,000 to get that done. And that's one thing where I really got to figure that into the cost. And so maybe that's a part of negotiation. I just don't know. So yeah, giving that thing some thought. What do you think? Is it just sort of lusting for something that I used to have and love and maybe shouldn't have parted with? Now, granted, I've had 22,000 very easy miles on this T7, but it is not without its faults. So I didn't think that chain maintenance would be a pain in the butt, and it's not really a pain in the butt, but it is something to keep an eye on. I'm not nearly as good about maintaining it as I should be. In fact, I don't even lube it. I chain it, or sorry, not chain it, clean it. And I think it's supposed to be done every 500 miles. I just cleaned it a couple days ago, and that was after 2,000 or 2,200 miles, 2,500 miles, something like that. So that was the first time that I have cleaned it since I got the new one installed, which was in July, like early to mid-July. Might have even, no, you know what? Actually, I think it was earlier than that. I think it was early to mid-June that I had the chain replaced, and we're sitting here on November 27th, I think it is, November 26th, and just cleaned it for the first time. So that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. I do find myself also constantly changing some of the ergonomics on this bike because I'm only 5'6", 5'7", and it is not the most comfortable bike at all, particularly with the reach, the amount of reach that I have. So right now I've got 2-inch rocks risers on it that are really mainly being used to bring the bars back closer to me so that I don't have to reach as far. And that works for a little bit, but at the same time, like, I don't have the best control off-road when I have risers like that. I think that it is changing the geometry a little bit. I don't know how drastically, but I think it's changing it enough to where I'm not as good off-road as maybe I could be if I didn't have those, because you get a little bit of a, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit of like a delayed feedback when you are riding off-road with risers on, or I guess riding on any road with risers on. So yeah, you can tell, and you can tell in the way that I talk about this that I'm just thinking, do I just want something new? And when I look at any of the new bikes, nothing excites me in terms of like value overall. By next spring, I will have this bike for 4 years and probably be about 25,000 miles on it by that time. And I'll turn 40 in March. Am I entering a new point in my riding hood where I could be better served by a larger bike to carry more crap and get riding? I don't know. But at the same time, like when I take this bike on long highway stretches, I often find myself at about mile 300 or so, 200, 300, wondering like, God, there's got to be a more comfortable bike out there for this. So I start getting those thoughts. But then when I take it off-road and it feels so nimble compared to bigger bikes that I've had, the thought always comes through my mind like, God, this bike is perfect. I wish that I could get my Tesla software with my car to be in a pickup truck that didn't look like a stupid-ass Cybertruck and could charge as fast as a BYD, I think that's the name of it, Chinese EV that charges 0 to 100 in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is. So it's all about compromises. On a T7, you have arguably the best in the middle, like, hey, I've got a really capable adventure bike and a very capable off-road bike all smashed into one. It's heavy enough to do long freeway stretches. When I first bought it, I felt like I was just getting sloshed around by the wind a lot, and I don't really feel that way anymore. Could be some of the weight that I've added to it. Could just be that I'm more used to it now, because it is about 150 pounds lighter than a Super Tenere is. And it feels quicker to me. I think there is something to be said, like people like Jocelyn Snow, who are 5'1" or 4'11" or 5' nothing or whatever it is that she is, who can ride those big 1200cc ADV bikes with such just incredible, what's the word I'm looking for, skill. That stuff is really admirable. So I know it can be done on those bikes, on those big giant bikes, and then you have the great advantage of like, hey, I can put back 800 miles or 1,000 miles with no problem, and then have the fun when I want to. Feels a little bit like a super bike, a jack of all trades that can do it all and do it all pretty well. I thought when I got this I'd be doing some single track or some really, really tight dirt roads, and everything that I do off-road wise on this bike, I think I could definitely do on a Super Tenere and not have any issues with it. So anyway, that's where my head's at. What do y'all think? Hopefully I can pump this out and edit it today. That'd be really nice. And then you can let me know what you think over the nice long holiday weekend. And maybe before Black Friday, because if I did do something like that, I'd probably need to leave the house at, I don't know, 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. to be able to get to Portland and make it back in time to see the UW women's soccer game, which is, I've been looking forward to that for a week now. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and I will come back if I have some more thoughts or want to record another video. Take care.